What's up, guys? Let's talk about sensitivity and having sensory abilities. People tend to lump it all together and assume it's all good or it's all bad. And I'm here to tell you that it really depends on whether or not the ability or sense that you have is functional or dysfunctional. So if it's functional, it's going to improve your quality of life, it's going to improve your relationships, it's going to feel good. And if it's dysfunctional, it's going to detract from your quality of life. It's going to make it difficult for you to have relationships, and it's going to feel bad. And that's just sort of a very basic idea of it. And if you're overly reactive or you're hypersensitive to a certain situation or things trigger you, then that is an indication that this sense perhaps is not serving you. And you might think, well, I developed this gift that nobody has, and so it's somehow special, and you want to defend this sense or ability you have, but you got to ask yourself, is it serving me or is it not serving me? And that is where boundaries and strong filters come in. And I can tell you from my own experience, when I was younger, I didn't have very strong filters, and things tend to affect me more. But as I learn to filter out certain things, it made my life a lot better. It doesn't mean that I'm not aware of what's happening, but it's about understanding that you can be aware of things without having them affect you, because ultimately you are the one in control of your reality and what you want to experience and what you want to feel. You get to choose. And so, for example, we at different senses. For example, I'm very sensitive to touch, and that's from many years of dancing, doing martial arts, doing body work, working with my hands. So my sense of physical touch is very strong. And I'm not putting my hand on a hot stove. I'm not doing anything to hurt my body. So that sense is helping me to do things that I want to do. It's not causing me any pain. Now, hearing, for example, I have a well above average hearing, according to these specialized tests that they use in the military. But anyway, I'm a bit spoiled with good quality music, high vibe music, and I have a very sensitive hearing. So, for example, really bad music and obnoxious noises might affect me a little bit more because I'm sensitive to the hearing, maybe more so than somebody who's not as sensitive to bad music or who doesn't have as keen of a sense of hearing. In any case, I have the ability to hear things and not let them affect me. So that doesn't mean that I don't hear it, but hearing it and allowing it to affect me are two different things. And this is where the filtering part comes in. I'm able to filter out things that I hear that are not relevant to my experience. And I know that can be challenging because it's not like we can turn our ears off, but the idea is we get all kinds of stimulus, but doesn't mean that everything that comes our way has to affect us. And this is where having a filter and being able to select what it is that you want to take in is important. And this is the beginning of establishing a boundary. I like animals, and I'm very sensitive to animals, and animals get me, and they understand me, and I understand them. And again, that's a skill that you could say I either was born with somewhat or I developed by interacting with animals. But in any case, I'm not afraid of animals. I'm really aggressive animals or dangerous animals don't really affect me because I don't have any belief that they're somehow separate from me. So my ability to sense them is sort of like a natural thing. Same with children, same with people. I've worked with many people that were abused or have some kind of mental disability, and so I'm able to tap into people of all different socioeconomic backgrounds, various levels of IQ, or just people from all over the world. And so that ability is just training and communicating, learning how to communicate, learning how to see people from where they're at. And so that, again, is a sensitivity on a good level. But now, same time, if there are people who are sort of destructive, or they're energy vampires, or they in some way impose their energy on me in a way that I don't like, I have the ability to filter that out, to establish boundaries and say, look, I don't want that. And that is a choice. So being sensitive is about knowing how to sense things. It doesn't mean that you got to take everything in because you're sensitive. And so a lot of people want to just get other people to change, right? So I'm really sensitive, and I would be better if you stopped doing that thing. Well, no. Well, the world is going to be the way it is, and people are going to be the way they are. And there's going to always be things that you don't like, things that you don't want to see, things that you don't want to hear, things that you don't want to feel. And so it is your job as the person sensing to decide what you want to let in. What stimulus do I want to let in? And I know that can be challenging sometimes, because we can't always control what we take in. We can't always shut it off. But the idea is that you have to learn how to discern. So part of being in this world is it's not about being callous or being tough and having this shield of protection where you're going to block out everything, right? So protection, or the idea of protection or shielding, is like a beginning level, but ultimately you can't shield yourself from the world. If you want to learn how to interact with people, or you want to have functional, fulfilling relationships, then you got to be open. You got to be open and know when to filter out things or situations or people that you don't want. And that means that you have to get out in the real world. You have to interact with real people. You have to take risks. And you have to risk getting hurt. Because as long as you play it safe and say, well, I'm only going to hang out with these people that understand me and my pain, and I'm an empath, and I'm only going to hang out with other empaths, or I'm a victim, and I'm only going to hang out with other victims. I'm awake, and I'm only going to hang out with other people who are awake. Or I'm spiritual, and I won't hang out with anybody unless they're spiritual too. Well, forget it, because that's not what it's about. It's about integrating yourself in the real world. And that means being in the matrix. Being in the matrix while keeping your head above water, and understanding that there's more to it, and there's infinite possibilities, and you're experiencing all of that, and you have the ability to create the life that you want, experience what you want, and there's stimulus coming at you from all directions, and you have to learn how to decide what makes sense to you, and what you want to take in, and what you want to not accept, right? And so it's not always a good thing to be able to sense things too much. It's a matter of how you're using it, and being able to turn it up, turn it down, and turn it off. Alright, so if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, please share. Thank you.